What's up, guys? Jordan Sather reporting for duty, June 1st. Want to film this quick update before I head on over and do conference things to talk about some things that went on yesterday. So I want to take a look at that mass shooting, very suspicious circumstances surrounding that event. Also want to take a look at what happened, what we learned on Sean Hannity's program last night. And then lastly, I want to talk about that new UFO show that premiered on the History Channel last night called Unidentified. I watched it, I got a lot of thoughts on it. And I have a lot of thoughts on some recent mainstream media articles that came out yesterday and today. Very important things that we're going to discuss regarding gatekeepers that they're trying to insert. So let's begin talking about that mass shooting in Virginia Beach. 12 victims and the shooter killed in a Virginia Beach mass shooting. Now, the local police, Virginia Beach Police Department, VBPD, they said that the suspect had a .45 caliber handgun with a suppressor. Okay. Now on CNN, as this local Virginia article points out, CNN claimed at the scene of the shooting, a semi-automatic pistol and a rifle were found. Now, I didn't see that statement from the local police there in Virginia, so I don't know if the mainstream media is trying to insert some false narratives here and there to advance the gun control agenda. Of course, every single time one of these mass shootings happens, within hours, we see all the pundits, all the talking heads on the corporate media call for gun control. It's pretty absurd, but that's just one suspicious thing. Another suspicious thing, how about Obama in Brazil just a couple of days ago bashing U.S. gun laws? And he wasn't just bashing U.S. gun laws. Obama was in Brazil lying, completely lying to the whole audience. As Ryan Saavedra, the journalist, points out, Obama blatantly lies to the crowd in Brazil. He said, "Some of you may be aware our gun laws in the United States of America don't make much sense. Anybody can buy any weapon at any time," Obama claimed. They can buy it over the internet. They can buy machine guns. What is this? That is an absolute absurd, blatant lie. Anybody can buy any weapon at any time. Super false. Buy machine guns over the internet. Super duper false. It's just weird. And this was on Thursday, the day before the mass shooting in Virginia Beach. It's as if many of these elite players almost know these events are going to happen before they happen. Ain't that weird? John Podesta going to New Zealand just days before that mass shooting in Christchurch happened. So many weird instances such as this. Obama making these very wrong and coincidental statements. Next day, shooting in Virginia happens. Just tragic, tragic stuff, guys. We need to get the truth out there about these elite powers that be, what they actually do, and that way, that's the way we're going to stop these mass shootings. Not gun control, not anything like that, but awareness. Getting the public acclimated to reality, truly. And then last thing about this mass shooting was this. In the local news, hours before that mass shooting in Virginia Beach, the Virginia Beach local news here, looks like 13 News Now, they even uploaded this video to their YouTube account. You see, published May 31st, Virginia Beach Police Department active shooter training workshop. This was a segment here where the local news was talking about how the Virginia Beach Police Department was going to hold an active shooter training workshop just today, Saturday here. They were supposed to hold it at 10 a.m. this morning. And this spot for that workshop, again, came out hours before the shooting. How coincidental is this stuff? This is just really, really weird. Now, this isn't the first active shooter training workshop that the VBPD, say that 5 times fast, VBPD has held. They've held them before, but again, coincidence. Obama making those statements just a couple days ago. The local news in Virginia Beach running this just yesterday, hours before the mass shooting. Just really, really weird. Really, really weird. I would not doubt that this was planned, some sort of MK Ultra mind-controlled patsy that was activated to do this shooting as a massive distraction, massive diversion. And of course, when you see this shooting take place during big events that are exposing the deep state, it brings even more suspicion into the picture. So now let's move on into talking about Sean Hannity's show that aired last night, the show that Donald Trump made a tweet earlier in the day pointing us all towards, right? Pointing us all towards. Sean Hannity tweeted just before his show last night, "Tonight the reckoning begins," calling it the deep state's day of reckoning. Wow. And they were exposing a lot of stuff on Sean Hannity's show last night. You can see here Lisa Mae Crowley's tweet. She was watching it, posted some clips on Twitter. They had an all-star cast, just like Donald Trump said in his tweet. We had Sarah Carter and John Solomon on the show. Pretty funny. I sort of called that in yesterday's live stream video. But we had Sarah Carter, John Solomon on there, Joe DeGeneva. We had an all-star lineup, a whole panel talking about the spying that happened on President Trump's campaign, talking about the FISA abuses. Sarah Carter here pointed out General Flynn's involvement in all this, how the Obama administration, the deep state, does not like General Flynn. And once General Flynn teamed up with Donald Trump on the campaign, the deep state went all in to try to smear General Flynn and smear Donald Trump. And Sarah Carter even said Flynn knew where the bodies were buried and the deep state was terrified. Knew where the bodies were buried. That's a Q-ism. We've heard that on the drops before. Sarah Carter most definitely follows the Q drops. And, you know, Sarah Carter and John Solomon, even in previous weeks, maybe a month or two ago, even slyly said in one interview that they've had intelligence agents approach them and suggest where they should begin researching and looking. So all of this is most definitely connected. And with that mass shooting in Virginia Beach, hours before Sean Hannity's show, where they were talking about these massive deep state illegal criminal activities, no doubt that it was a distraction. I mean, even during Sean Hannity's show, they cut early to a statement from the Virginia Beach police about that mass shooting. So it was a complete distraction, complete diversion that we're looking at here. Again, this is reality, folks. This is reality. It's a deep, dark, real world out there, but once we shine the light on all that darkness, that's how we get rid of it. We expose it, we come to terms with it, and then we can live a much brighter, happier future. So there's all of that. We went through the mass shooting, we went through Sean Hannity's show, and now let's take a look at that UFO program that premiered on the History Channel last night. So Tom DeLonge, executive producing this show called Unidentified that premiered on the History Channel, and he had a feature in People magazine just yesterday. I mean, we're getting so many mainstream media articles from the Washington Post, from Newsweek, from People magazine. Basically a bunch of PR, bunch of promotion for this show. I mean, the corporate media is really trying to funnel people into this show. The deep state psyops, the media initiatives are really trying to funnel people into this show. And I watched it, and quite frankly, it was terrible. I might be a little biased in that opinion, but I'm telling you that from a real opinion too. I'm not trying to be politically correct or make you happy here. It was garbage. The reason it was garbage, number one, completely over-dramatized. It was like I was watching it just laughing because they made such an over-dramatic, sensationalized piece out of just a couple simple UFO sightings. That was really it. So it was absurd there. Not just that, there were so many falsities, so much misinformation promoted in this show. Not just about Tom DeLonge and the individuals involved with his To the Stars Academy limited hangout disclosure initiative, as I've been calling it. You know, little things they've been lying about that I saw in that show. But a big thing was they had John Podesta. They had a quick spot with him on that show. And they claimed that it was the Russians that hacked John Podesta's emails and gave them to WikiLeaks. So that was a massive twist. Again, a huge part of this limited hangout, basically deep state UFO disclosure initiative, is inserting the gatekeepers. So one of the gatekeepers being Tom DeLonge, a lot of other gatekeepers who are proponents of this initiative, who are researchers of it, who are thinking it's wonderful for the world, they're being featured in these mainstream media articles. So a lot of these pro To the Stars, pro Tom DeLonge, pro John Podesta journalists, whether they're just useful idiots for the agenda, or they know that John Podesta is deceiving the public and this whole initiative is very shady. Don't know if they're conscious deceivers or useful idiots. Regardless, the mainstream media is directing people towards them. And they're doing so to undermine the exposure of the deep state, to undermine things like QAnon, topics like Pizzagate. A lot of these to the stars proponents that love this UFO disclosure are undermining and trying to discredit all the rest of the conspiracy theories, okay? Again, don't know if they're useful idiots or they know they're lying, but regardless, they're wrong. So these proponents are to the stars. The insertion of the gatekeepers is a massive component of this whole half-truth disclosure initiative. And not just the gatekeepers that are pro to the stars, but check out this article from The Intercept that was put out, 4 a.m. Interesting timing. If you know anything about those secure drops, 4 a.m. just this morning, The Intercept says, the media loves this UFO expert who says he worked for an obscure Pentagon program. But did he? Okay, so this is a skeptic article. This is going to the other side. Like I said, we've had a lot of PR pieces supporting Tom DeLonge, John Podesta, Harry Reid, just this whole nonsense disclosure initiative. But now we have a skeptic article. You might think, oh, wow, that's good. The media is doing their job, scrutinizing these things. But it is a very poor scrutinizing of it. They're not inserting the pro-Tom DeLonge, pro-John Podesta gatekeepers. They're inserting the anti-To the Stars Academy, anti-Tom DeLonge gatekeepers. So this article is a long skeptic piece, which is good. We need the skepticism. But it's very bad skepticism, and it's not researched quite enough. Because as this article goes on to start talking about people who are questioning to the stars, blah, blah, blah. They even say here, in the feverish UFO community in which conspiracy theories have long thrived, some suspect DeLonge is being played like a useful idiot. Now, when I click on the hyperlink to this some suspect, look who they insert as the anti-To the Stars gatekeeper. Wow, the dark journalist of all people. Oh, these psyops are getting more complicated, but the psyops are getting even easier to expose. The agenda, the backstory, why they're doing this false disclosure agenda. So like I said, not only are they inserting pro-To the Stars, pro-Tom DeLonge gatekeepers, but they insert the anti-ones. Now, the dark journalist, he's a dude that's totally controlled opposition for years, has been undermining QAnon. He's been undermining topics like Pizzagate. He works with other controlled opposition shills on Twitter and on YouTube that undermine QAnon, that undermine Pizzagate, that undermine the exposing of the deep state and are also undermining the current presidential administration. So this is why you have to be really careful, like I continuously say, with what we're seeing in the mainstream media with their insertion of the gatekeepers. They're inserting the pro and they're also inserting the anti. And it might look like the anti-To the Stars, quote, journalists are closer to the truth and they're doing a good job. But again, they're inserting the controlled opposition anti-To the Stars gatekeepers. So smoke and mirrors everywhere with all of this. Shoot, why wouldn't they link someone like myself if we're talking about somebody who is suspecting Tom DeLonge being played like a useful idiot? No, they don't want to link to me because, of course, I talk about President Trump. I'm pro-Trump, pro-QAnon. I discuss things like Pizzagate, the actual hardcore truths that are exposing the deep state. I'm not controlled opposition like many of these folks on YouTube and Twitter that are getting features from The Intercept, features from Vice. Dark Journalist has worked with fake news media Vice before, so you can see how they align. Okay, you can see how the network all goes. Mainstream media still connected to many of these, what we think are alternative media or truth community journalists, but they're really not. They're totally controlled opposition. So that's that. Just be very careful with what we're hearing about all of these UFO stories in the media and also in the ufology community itself. There's so many plants and agents and assets purposely spreading disinformation in the ufology community. It's quite absurd. So this whole UFO disclosure initiative we're seeing in the mainstream is just another diversion, distraction with plenty of half-truths this mass shooting, as tragic as it is, I hate to see this stuff happen, but it is a diversion and a distraction from the exposure of the deep state. Okay, so that's that for this one, guys. Thank you so much for watching. And I want to say a quick thank you to all my Patreon supporters out there. Now that we're into a new month, we'll be doing a lot more stuff on Patreon. I'll have a live chat coming up in a few days. I'll be talking about a lot of things, and then I'll be doing some more giveaways this month and whatnot. So thank you to all my Patreon subscribers. I've even met a couple here at the event in Palm Springs, Contacted the Desert. So thank you all. Thank you all who supporting me there. And you can feel free to go subscribe if you're not. Link will be below. That's all for this one, guys. Thank you very much. Be back soon.